Hello ladies and gents, today I'll be giving you a tour of my Minecraft cell. Now, the way that I'd like you to follow is there will be a small cross in the center of the screen that will show you what I'm pointing to. Okay, now, I'll just go up to my cell, I'll start off the tour. It's a beautiful evening, and my cell is glowing in the night. Okay, so I'll tell you about all of these different organelles, which are just basically tiny organs of the cell. Now, the nucleus is the control center. It contains chromosomes that are instructions for making new proteins that are passed on to newly created cells, and are basically instructions on how to function all the other cells. This is pretty much a giant instruction manual. The inner cyan color is the nucleolus, and this purple outer color is the actual nucleus, which is the outer casing for the nucleolus. Now, moving on, cytoplasm. Now, the cytoplasm is this cream-colored, porous-looking block that we've got here. Now, it's pretty much a slimy liquid, and it fills up the cell, and it holds all the organelles together, and it also contains things such as proteins, salts, and most of the chemical reactions in the cell happen within the cytoplasm. Now, mitochondria. Mighty mitochondria. Now, these are basically the power plants of the cells. So, you could think of these as the batteries. They take in food from the cell, and they process the sugars, carbs, fats, and proteins, and they turn it into energy for the cells. So it's like a power plant, to best describe it, and you could also describe it as like a battery, a renewable battery for the cell. Okay. Now, the cell membrane. A cell membrane it's a thin outer boundary of the cell, and it holds the cytoplasm inside. Now, I've got it here as this pink color, and it controls what goes in and out of the cell. Pretty much, if it wants to allow in sugars, carbs, and fats, it will allow them in, and if it wants to let out some cytoplasm or it has too much sugar inside the cell, it will let out some sugar so that the cell won't die. Now, this is probably one of the most important things. It keeps everything inside. Now, the Golgi complex. Now, this green thing that I've got here, Golgi complex, it's the sorting and packaging center of the cell. It packs up proteins into vesicles, and it sends them off around the cell to the mitochondria, to the ribosomes, and it sends them off to parts of the cell that need the proteins. Now, lysomes, the cleaners and recyclers. Now, we have our lysomes here in this interesting dotted color here. Now, the lysomes, they contain enzymes which break down, they break down and clean up anything that's useless in the cell. So, for example, you have an organelle that breaks down. So you have a mitochondria which breaks down. This lysome will break it down, and it will just absorb all the bad things from it and clean up the cell. Okay. Endoplasmic reticulum. Now, it's a bit hard to see here, but the endoplasmic reticulum is this white over here. Do you see it? This white that goes around the cell, around the nucleolus. And it's like a series of folded membranes, and they normally surround the nucleus. Now, these are responsible for making proteins, and getting rid of toxins. And so it's kind of like the emergency room. And the way you think of it like this is because shorthand for endoplasmic reticulum is ER, and ER is also shorthand for emergency room. Now, it acts as an emergency room because when there are toxins and things that break down, they go straight there to get, I suppose, detoxinated. Detox, I'm not sure. And it just breaks down all the toxic chemicals that are inside the cell. Now, centrioles. Alright, love centrioles. Centrioles. Now these are a pair of barrels. They're a pair of barrels that they unravel into tubes. So I've put these tubes in the top and these in this redstone. They're a pair of barrels that unravel into these tube-like tentacle sort of things, and they reach to the other sides, to either side of the cell, and they pull apart. And this is how cell multiplicity happens, and it splits cells open, and it creates more and more cells out of just this one. Now, vacuoles. Actually, we will not do vacuoles, as this is not a plant cell, but an animal cell. Well, last but not least, we have these ribosomes. Now the ribosomes are these little redstone torches, these little red dots that are around the nucleus and the nucleolus. Now the ribosomes, how shall I explain this? A ribosome is basically, it's a large complex molecule, and it basically catalyzes the formation of proteins from individual amino acids using messenger RNA template. Now that is a mouthful, but to explain it more simply, it basically just speeds up the formation of other cells. So when new organelles need to be created, for example, you need to create a new mitochondria, a new lysosome, these will speed it up using like a template instead of starting over. So yeah, that's all good. Now that it's daytime and I've given you a tour of my cell, my Minecraft cell, my circular cell, which is made out of squares, which is really beautiful. Thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to Minecraft and Alon Manka for teaching me this, and also Camtasia for doing this screencast. Thanks, and see you soon.